Hey friends, Irene Lyon here. Welcome to this video, to this YouTube channel, and to this world of healing trauma, nervous system health, and all things neuroplasticity. I recently had a question actually via YouTube, so thank you to the person who asked me this question. They wanted to know more about the fawn response. The fawn response, it's spelled F-A-W-N. And I talk a lot about the fight, flight, and freeze survival responses. These are our autonomic nervous system reactions that we go into when we sense danger, when we sense threat, if we get into an accident, or if we're just in a really scary situation. We will, as human beings, protect our system by going into these autonomic responses. Now, the fawn response is an interesting one because it combines a little bit of all of them, and it also combines a little bit of our, what we would call ventral vagal of our parasympathetic. It's a bit jargony there, but basically the ventral vagal branches of our nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system, they are what socially engage us with other people. This is very unique to mammals. This is why if you have your friendly dog, you can tilt your head and he tilts his head and you kind of look at each other and you make little gestures. It is that part of our nervous system, the ventral vagal, that allows that to happen. So if we think about, I'm going to use an example, a child, let's say, who is growing up in an environment that is unsafe. It doesn't necessarily have to be physically or sexually abusive. It could be just this emotional strain, this emotional tension. Parents that maybe are fighting all the time, not with the child, but with each other. Maybe they're really, really stressed and the little one doesn't feel safe approaching their parents because they get snapped at, or they're told, not now, go to your room, I can't handle this. There's a myriad of scenarios here, but basically a situation where a little one is wanting connection, wanting to be nurtured, wanting to be attuned to express their creativity and their vibrancy, and they're being shut down. So what a child will often do, and of course there's many different scenarios, but one of them is they will feel something isn't safe. They may go into a fight response. So a child might be belligerent, have really bad behavior, they might have a tantrum, they might get anger. So that would be the fight, right? We're putting up a fight. I'm going to show you what I feel, and there is my fight response. The flee response, and we see this a lot, is the child will run away. They will disconnect. They will find some way, and even some kids will do this, they'll pretend to run away from home. They'll leave, they'll make their parents scared, and of course this is for a child that can walk and use door handles and get out into the world, not for an infant. So a child that is old enough to move through their fight, flee responses, they might choose that as their adaptive strategy to staying safe. The other one, so that was fight, flight, then we have freeze. This more shutdown response, this more protection response, it's the person, it's the child, and this can be in adults too, but I'm using the example for kiddos. This is the individual shutting down, having really their life force energy drained out of them. They start to not connect anymore. They start to find ways to stay quiet and small and hide. And this would be, again, just an example, the kid that's just hiding in their bedroom all the time, reading, playing video games, being alone and being isolated. While that might help the family situation so that parents that maybe don't have the energy or the capacity to be with their kids, to them that's great, because little Johnny or Susie, they're just in their room all the time. That's also showing that this little one is not involved, isn't connecting, isn't wanting to be socially engaged with that parent or parental figure, etc. The fawn response is along this spectrum, and it is the individual, the human, the child, or of course the adult, looking for ways to connect, but the connection is a little false. It is to please the parent or to please, let's say, the partner. It is a way of having all of these survival energies wrapped into one. So they know, whoa, I kind of want to fight this. I don't like it, but I'm going to shift my personality and what I really want to do so that I stay in connection. And so I attempt to connect by pleasing the parent, the caregiver, the partner, the spouse, whoever it might be. But in that pleasing, in that fawning response, that human system is not exhibiting their life force. They're not truly being who they are, saying what they want to say because they know it is not safe. And so this is one way that we find survival within our system, is to have this kind of blend of other survival energies along with this way of connecting. So there's a little bit of this ventral vagal. I am engaging, I am finding a way to connect, but I'm connecting on your terms. I'm expressing what mom and dad might want to see, what they might want to have, so that they feel better in their systems, so that they can connect with, say, that little one. When I work with my adult clients and students, many of them, especially those who are suffering and healing from chronic illness, they will say that their life growing up was such that they had to take care of their parents, and not necessarily physically with cooking and cleaning. I mean, that's very common too, but they had to emotionally take care of their parents. They had to be very careful about how they interacted, because if they did anything that was not within a very straight line, for example, there were consequences, there were repercussions. Maybe there was then, shouting, maybe there was abuse, maybe there was something that showed that little one, you know what, that's not cool, you got to stay in this lane, and this is how I want you to be. And so when we live and we grow up in that kind of environment, we start to slowly forget who we are. We start to slowly become not our unique individuality, our personality. How we create ourselves is dictated by that unsafe environment. And so that's one way that we see this fawning response come out. It is a blend of survival, knowing we need to protect, wanting to make sure that we play it safe, and also this kind of way of looking for connection, but the connection isn't authentic. Of course, if this is something we grow up with through our lives, it becomes kind of our map for how we relate, how we find safety in relationship. And then, of course, if we are not aware of that pattern, it can be brought into our adult relationships, into how we choose partners, into how we parent our own children. And so it's a very important distinction to understand that if this is something that we grew up with, that we live with, that we know we're still dealing with, we need to, again, as I've said in many of my videos, find ways to get kind of under the rug of this nervous system of ours and really start to honor our true biological expression, honor who we are, set boundaries for what we need, for what we don't want, and just really start to listen to what is that true essence? How did I have to shut things down? How did I have to protect and shift who I am so that I could stay connected to, loved, and essentially stay safe? Because when you think about it, a kid who is young and immature and not able to fend for themselves, they will do this so that they can stay within a family system. Because if they don't, it means essentially death to that little individual. And again, if that was our way of being brought up, as we move into adult life, we carry that same kind of essence with us. And as we know, as we've seen through the research, when we keep ourselves in check with these survival responses, it is harmful to our physiology, it's harmful to how we relate to others, and it's harmful to our ability to evolve and be creative human beings. So this was one little piece around the fawn response. There are a few other things that I would like to talk about regarding this subject, but I will get to that in another video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and learning, and we will see you next time.